Hello there, Ray here, and today I will be showing and explaining how to build my simple wither-based cobble farm. With this farm, it is possible to have cobble be produced 24/7 on a server. Last year I showed it was possible to make a wither cage using the bedrock in the floor of the overworld. Quite a few technical players used my idea, but I noticed that they even struggled to carve out a bedrock wither cage. So today I will be explaining how you can make my bedrock wither cage and how you can use it to make a simple cobble farm like this one. So first you'll have to decide where you want to have your wither bedrock cage at. You will have to put up with the darkening of the sky as well as the name tag at the top of the screen. In 1.9 you can no longer use a name tag on a wither and cause the health bar to change names. So the health bar will always say wither. You will want to have a wither in the location where it is loaded. So you either want to have it chunk loaded from your base, or have it near your base, or have it in a location where it will be loaded all the time, or you can load it from spawn. Once you find the location where you want to have your wither, you will then have to find a special bedrock formation which is used to hold the wither. If you know the seed of your world, then you can skip the next step. But if you do not know the seed of your world, then you will need to see if you have a typical or non-typical bedrock generation. About 90% of the worlds will have the same overworld bedrock generation, and the other 10% will have something different. So it's pretty likely that the world that you have has the same bedrock generation as another world. To figure out if you have a typical or non-typical bedrock generation in your overworld, just come here to 0, 0, dig down to Y level 4, and if you look in the southwest direction, you should be able to see this L-shaped bedrock here. If you see this in your world, this means you have a typical bedrock generation. Now all you have to do is open up a new world in creative, come here to 0, 0 in the new world, and then see if this world has the same typical bedrock generation. Now if it does, then you can use this world to search for bedrock formations that are the same as in your survival world. Now in your creative world, you can go to the coordinates of where you want to build it in your survival world. Everything else may look different, but the bedrock generation will be the same. So now all you have to do is clear out large areas of land all the way down to Y level 3, and then you can come in and look for the bedrock formation. The easiest way to clear out large areas is to use MC-editor or commands. The bedrock formation that we are looking for to hold the wither in is a 3x3 area of bedrock with or without a hole in the middle. So right here we have a 3x3 area, and in the center we don't have any bedrock, but you can have bedrock in the center as well, it doesn't matter. And there's another one right here. If you clear out an area about this big, there should be about 6 to 8 of them in this area. So it's pretty common to find them. Now once that you found your bedrock formation in the creative world, you can hop back onto your survival world and use the coordinates of this one to go into your survival world and find that exact same bedrock formation there. Now that we found the bedrock formation in our survival world, we will want to remove some of the bedrock around the outside of the wither cage so that we can work around it. Now we will want to come in and remove all the non-bedrock blocks around the wither cage. Then we will use the bedrock breaking method that I showed with dragon eggs to come in and break the bedrock. By having air gaps in between the bedrock, we can actually have the dragon egg break multiple bedrock at once. Now you will want to mark out the area in which you want the bedrock to be removed. Here I'm going to mark out an area that is 7 meters by 5 meters. This is the smallest amount of area that you can work with. I recommend, if you're not used to breaking bedrock, to work with a little bigger area. It just allows you to maneuver in that area a little bit easier. So to remove the bedrock in this area, there's a few different options that you have. The most easiest one probably for you to use is just to use the dragon egg to break the bedrock. Now if you don't have access to dragon eggs, you can still use pistons to remove all this bedrock as well. There is links in the description to my bedrock breaking method using the dragon eggs, as well as the method that Myron Irio has shown with the use of piston tile ticks to break bedrock. The bedrock that we want to have removed is underneath of all of these dragon eggs. So you can see that we're removing all the bedrock around here, as well as we are removing the center bedrock in the wither cage. And this will just allow us to be able to remove less bedrock with pistons once we get down there. And we're also removing these little nubs on top of our wither cage here. It's more efficient to drop all the dragon eggs at once than just drop them one at a time. So we have all the dragon eggs on top of these banners, and these banners are just all attached to each other. So we have multiple banners that are attached to each other so that when the first one breaks, they all break behind it. And banners are easy to place because you don't need a shift click. And here we have a bunch of dragon eggs on top of them, and you can place the dragon eggs on top of the banners by not clicking on the banner but just shift clicking and placing dragon eggs up against other dragon eggs. All these banners here are connected to each other, and they come back and they hook onto this leaf here, which is in front of this piston. This piston here is attached to this contraption here, which I built a while ago to detect lazy processing chunks for my sand generator. But this also works very nicely for dragon egg dropping, since dragon eggs will delete bedrock in lazy processing chunks. The way that this contraption works is that there's a clock here, and this clock goes through and goes into this monostabler. This monostabler just comes here and allows a pulse to be sent through, and it's pointing towards the sand. But since we're in an entity processing chunk, the sand is just falling as an entity and it takes time to fall. So the signal never makes it through and never comes out of this repeater, which is the output. But if this was in a lazy processing chunk, then the signal would come through and the sand would immediately become a block as soon as it fell. This will allow the pulse to get sent through the sand and come out as output over here. And this would cause it to push this piston here, which would break the leaf, which would cause all the banners to break off. I have a command block here which just says lazy processing chunk, so that once we leave the area, we can see that it is working, and this will cause all the dragon eggs to drop as soon as we reach a lazy processing chunk, which is quite a ways out. So there you can see it's saying lazy processing chunk. So now if we go back, we can see that the machine actually went off and all the dragon eggs fell, and it caused all the banners to break, and it destroyed a bunch of the bedrock. So now you can just come back and repeat the process until all the bedrock around the wither cage is broken all the way down to Y level 0. You want to make sure that you do not break any more bedrock on the actual wither cage here. These holes here are just caused because there is not void underneath of here for testing, but in your normal world there would be void underneath of this Y level 0 bedrock, and dragon eggs do not break blocks if there's not another block underneath of them, so that wouldn't normally happen. And also here I removed some bedrock in this direction. This is just where we're going to have our minecart, which will take out the cobblestone from the area. Now that you removed all the bedrock around the wither cage, the only bedrock left that we have to remove is the bedrock that's actually right underneath of the wither cage. So here we have some bedrock here that should be removed if you want to access this part. And to remove this part, we will be using the piston bedrock breaking method. Now if you want to remove less bedrock in this area, you can always look for a bedrock formation that has less bedrock underneath of it. I compacted the process needed to get the two headless pistons. So here we have the TNT, and for the TNT to get to the piston extensions, it will have to go through these two melon blocks, and by the time the explosion goes through the two melon blocks, it will be weak enough so that it will not be able to destroy any of these piston bases that are left here. So the way that this works is that we will light the TNT, and the TNT will take 4 seconds for it to explode. So right as it explodes, we will extend one of these pistons, which will allow the piston extension to be into this block right here. So then right as the explosion comes through, it will destroy the piston extension, but will be weak enough so that it won't be able to destroy either of the piston bases. So this method here is 5 meters long and 1 meter thick, so that we can fit it into this area here and remove the bedrock underneath of the wither cage. When it comes time to remove the bedrock, we will have an extended piston here, extended outward, so it will take up a little bit more room. So you will either have to find a hole in the bedrock to have it come through or make room for it. And when you do use this method, there's a chance that the TNT does not blow up the extension on the first try, so you may have to try it a couple times. So now we just set it up inside of where the wither cage will be. Here we got our TNT, we got our two melon blocks, then we got the two pistons here, and then these are just connected to a 4-second delay, which comes back to this lever right here. So now if we turn it on, the TNT will ignite and it will explode after 4 seconds right during the piston that extends. This will cause the piston extension to get removed. So now all we have to do is come over to the side that did get it removed and put in a lever and power just that piston. Then we can unpower the entire system and come back in and place down our melons again and place in our TNT, and if any redstone got removed, place that in well, and then we can start up again. And you want to make sure that you have your TNT encased so that it don't hop around. And now you see that it blew off the other piston here. So now we just come in and we put a lever down to power this piston, which is right here. And then we can unpower the system. So the next step is to set up all the pistons, which will remove the bedrock. And here we have the two headless pistons. Here's one of them here, and one of them here, and they're currently being powered by this lever right here. So then the piston right here will get a repeater with 2 ticks. And then over here we have the same wiring going up, and the piston on top right here is being powered right here, and we have 2 repeaters that are attached to each other. And then we have this normal piston, and he's being powered from way over here. So you're just going to have to kind of loop your wiring around and make it work. And here we have 2 repeaters with a redstone dust in between them, and that's coming to this bedrock here, which is powering this piston over here. So now once you have everything set up correctly, all you have to do is depower this lever here. Well, first you want to depower this one, because that's currently powering these 2. So now once you have that unpowered, then you can depower this, and then this piston will remove the bedrock that was back here. So now we just keep repeating the process until we have removed all the bedrock that is underneath of the wither cage. So now here we have the bedrock that we removed last time. Now we're trying to remove this piece of bedrock here. So we have the pistons set up, and we got our melons, and then we have the TNT here. Now once we have removed the piston heads, then we come over to this process, same thing, but we just remove the wiring a little bit, and we have the exact same thing coming up here. And here they have the piston, or the lever. We just depower that, and then we depower these pistons. Now we remove that bedrock. Now we just keep this up until we have removed all the bedrock from underneath of it. So when it comes to removing the bedrock that is underneath the center, like here, we have the center piece of bedrock, you will probably have to try to put your TNT into part of the bedrock beside it, or else you'll just have to remove more of the bedrock so that you have room to put your TNT. But there's a likelihood that there's quite a bit of holes in here where you'll be able to stick your TNT and fit this machine into it. So now all you have to do is keep moving the contraption forward until you have removed all this bedrock here. And then when you're done, you'll just have a wither cage, and then you can build whatever kind of contraption you want around it to maybe use it for like a cobblestone farm, or maybe use it for a wood farm. My simple wither-based cobble farm fits in a 7x5 area, and when you add all the extensions onto it, it comes over a little bit, but all the stuff down below fits in the area underneath the bedrock. But there's a little bit that comes out here, such as the collection area, and then some redstone that hangs over as well. So the way that my simple wither-based cobble farm works is that there's a clock here that just goes off ever so often, and this just goes into a monostapler, which just pulses these pistons, which just sends this cobble that comes from this cobble generator downwards. After the cobble generator has been pushed down 3 times, and we have a counter over here that counts it. After it has reached a count of 3, then it will come down here, and the pulse will come down and just cause this pistons to push the cobblestone inward towards the wither. And once the second row of cobblestone comes and gets pushed into the wither's head, the wither will get damaged, and he'll do his block breaking ability, which will break the cobblestone off. Then the cobblestone will get pushed by the water down through the wither and get pushed by this water stream into this corner here. From this corner here, it'll be picked up by this hopper minecart, which will pull it out of the bedrock area, and you can take it up to wherever you're storing your cobblestone. So the wither is sitting inside of this bedrock ring here, with its 2 side heads submerged inside of the bedrock and its main head up here. And the main head is tracking this endermite that we have put up inside the wiring up here. And even though the wither and the side heads are inside the bedrock, occasionally a blue wither skull will come out from underneath, and it'll come off and hit one of the sides. Now, since the blue wither skulls come and hit down below, they will not allow the wither to escape from this cage, but they may do some damage to the sides here. So that's why we have some water back here, just in case the damage, some damage gets done to the side. The water will still be able to wash the cobblestone into this corner here, but occasionally that will happen. So the way that you get your wither into the wither cage is that you first put this obsidian block up here, so that when the wither is spawned in, that he's not able to fly upwards and get out of the cage. Then all you have to do is come in here down below, and we're going to build a wither on his side, so we don't need this block down here. Now you cannot build a wither at Y level 0 or Y level 1, so this is the lowest you can build a wither in a survival world. So then once you spawn in the wither, you will want to leave the area because it causes an explosion. So the wither will slowly go through his spawning phase until he causes an explosion. So now you can see that his side heads are tracking me. So now it's important that you should always cover up your wither so that he doesn't have line of sight with any other mobs around the area. So just come in here and build kind of like a cage around the head so that his main head doesn't track other mobs. And then once you have that built in, then you can just build the rest of the farm around him, and make sure you put your endermite on top so that he has something to track. My simple cobblestone farm here produces 6,400 cobblestone per hour. Some of the cobblestone may glitch out when the pistons are pushing, but you will probably get more cobblestone than what you will need typically. You can also have this hooked up to a faster cobblestone generator, as well as like a wood farm or like a mushroom farm. They all work with this. There is a world download in the description of this world, so that you can look at this world and you can see all the steps that are needed to build this wither cage, as well as you can see how to build my simple wither based cobble farm. There you have it, guys, a way to build my overworld bedrock wither cage and a simple cobble farm that can be made out of it. So if you found this interesting, show me with a like. If you would like to see more contraptions like this, subscribe. And if you have any questions, be sure to comment. Bye bye!